Hey, come tell me if I'm on.
What you want? Huh?
What's up, man?
Thank you, mommy.
Yo, I'm just waiting for some people to get in here so we can get this thing started, man. If y'all can hear me, put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Yeah, what I'm gonna do too is whenever I do these lives, normally in the beginning it takes a little bit of time to start, so I'm gonna start putting the timestamp where everything started at.
Bye, Daddy.
Dana,
He's in the bathroom.
y'all go back to the room.
We're back.
Do not go outside, okay? Where you going, mother? No go outside. You like playtime?
Oh, let's go to work.
Why?
What up, Nick? How you doing, man? I like them shoes, man. They look really nice. All right, so. Yeah, hopefully we do get a season, man. Right now they talking about if we don't get a season started on time, it might start in November. If that don't happen, then it might start somewhere around January. Or if it comes down to it where that don't happen, they might start the season next spring. So we got a lot to talk about. Yeah, Jay Play. A lot of them saying that this season might not happen, because right now with this whole Corona thing going on, they don't know if it's gonna start on time. They don't know if it's gonna be games without fans. They don't know if they're gonna start it maybe in January sometimes. Right now, everything's up for grabs. They don't even know. But I do hear them saying that in the springtime of next year, if nothing happened, then that's when they'll play the 2020 season. And a lot of the commissioners and a lot of the the owners of the teams, not like the coaches or anything, but the owners of the teams, like the college teams or whatever, they don't want to play without the fans. And I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, I want to be in Miami when Miami play Florida State, stuff like that. Imagine that being an empty crowd. Yeah, man. But right now, we can't really do nothing. We can't really say nothing. We just gotta sit back and watch. Hopefully, this whole Corona epidemic thing just hurry up and get out the way. 'Cause, man. Oh, also too, the ACC network. I don't know if a lot of you guys have the ACC network, but on the ACC network right now, they're doing special days for each team. So on the 16th, I think it's the 16th or the 19th, one of them. I know Miami's supposed to have their whole day. I'm thinking it's the 19th. I'm not quite sure. I have to look at that again, but Yeah, it'll be a whole day dedicated to Miami. Everything Miami. All our our great moments, our great games, stuff like that. Not just football, basketball, and everything too. But that's what the ACC is doing. The ACC network doing. Since there's no sports to really put out, they got to find something. So they're dedicating each team their own little time or whatever. I know yesterday was Boston College. I think today is Clemson. Yeah, today should be Clemson. And then tomorrow it'll be Duke. So what they're doing is they're putting it in alphabetical order. So whatever your team comes in, Miami starts with an M, so we'll play, and then after us it'll be like North Carolina, stuff like that. They even got Notre Dame in there, so you know how that goes. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that too. Like the non-conference games, they might not play them at all. They might just go straight to the conference games. That way they could get to the conference championship. And if that does happen, it's gonna be like a rush season. All right, so we're gonna talk about some records. We're gonna break them down. 247 Sports. They basically had put up 13 records that Miami could break this season if we have a season. This 2020. If we play all 12 games of the season plus the ACC championship if we're in it, and the playoffs and so forth if we're in it, all these records can be broken. And some of these records can be broken without even the ACC championship, without even being in the playoff picture or anything. Yeah, with our new offensive scheme and everything, you're right, it does hurt because we didn't get no time to practice, to put the players out there on the field, put the playbook in their hand, let them go out there and basically run the plays that we're going to be doing all season. So now, if the season does start on time, let's say they don't get no time to practice, then it's just going to be, a toss-up. Right now, I know coaching-wise, I know they practicing. I know they Manny Diaz say that they're studying their opponents, which is a good thing because, when it comes to certain opponents, sometimes it seems like we lack. We didn't study them the week before, and then next thing you know, we get showed up on like teams like FIU and Duke and them. It's like the ones we take lightly. We need to do a little research on some of these teams, especially on the defense side. Yeah, defense definitely gonna have to step up because I know we just lost all three of our linebackers. So in that position, especially, we're gonna have to step up hard. I mean, I'm not too concerned about like the defensive ends and the safeties and the cornerbacks. I'm not too concerned about them, but the linebackers, they're gonna really have to step up pretty hard. But the D-line should be straight. It's our offensive line too. I hope that, them guys take that experience from last year, learn from it, and come hard this season. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start off with this first record that's on this list that, Miami could break. So the first record on the list is individual total yards, which, like I did in my video a couple days ago, this record is held by Malik Rozier. Now Rozier back in 2017, he had 3,588 yards. Now this record can be broken this season. As long as De'Aaron King starts from beginning to finish, no injuries, you know, play a solid game, you know, he should be able to beat this because King, in 2018, King accounted for 3,656 yards total offense, and that was only in 11 games. 11 games. So he already beat Rozier's record, but at Houston, with those numbers, if he had those numbers at Miami this season, he'll own that record. So, and that was in 11 games, not a full season, 11 games. So that he could definitely do. Alright, let's see. Next one on the list. Individual single season passing touchdown record. Now this one also can be broken by De'Aaron King. Back in this record has stood since 1988. 1988, that's the year I was born. Steve Walsh threw 29 touchdowns. Now, like I said, this can be broken by King. King threw 36 touchdowns in 2018 in 11 games. I must keep saying that, in 11 games, because, you know, imagine if he would have played, like, you know, conference championships, you know, the last game, conference championship, and probably like a bowl game. Probably would have been even more than 36 touchdowns. So 29 is the record at Miami. You know, I definitely believe he could break that record. That's a more easier one, but we're gonna see. Yeah, thank you, Nick. I recently just bought. It's actually a blanket. It's a big blanket I bought. So I just pinned it up there because I know it looks neat, man. I like it too. How you doing, man? How you doing, Hurricane Andrew? And the next record on the list, single season passing yards. Single season passing yards. Now this record also has not been broken in a while, and it dates all the way back to 1984. 1984. Bernie was the quarterback. He threw for 3,642 yards. Now King threw for 2,982 yards in 2018. Now that was in, like I said, that was in 11 games. He didn't play the 12th game, and he didn't play, you know, conference championship. He didn't play in the bowl game. So that's 3 games he could have tried to rack up 600 and something yards with. I believe that he could have done that, you know, given that they run the, you know, the spread offense, and they run up at least 80 plays per game.
Ivana, mira cómo esa niña tiene el hisopo.
No.
Mira, ya tiene el hisopo. Quita. No, quita esos hisopos.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next record on the list. And that will be the single season completion percentage record. Now this one is held by Jacory Harris. Back in 2011, 65% of his pass he completed them. Now back in 2018, when De'Aaron King played for Houston, his completion in 11 games that he played was 63%, 63.5. So he was pretty close to that record, you know. So that's something that I think he can do at Miami. Alright, let's move on to the next one. I'm gonna try to get through these and then we could, you know, chop it up a little bit, talk about regular Miami Hurricane stuff. Yeah, man. Hopefully we can have a season. Why did Ja'Cory have it? Ja'Cory Harris had such a bad rep. Man, I really don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't know what to tell you. I think the fans came down on him because, you know, we had a couple key losses here and there, and it is what it is. But I mean, I remember Ja'Cory Harris being one of those run first kind of guys. Yeah, he does hold the record for completion percentage, so he was doing something right. Now let's go to single season reception. That record is held by Leonard Hankerson. Leonard Hankerson caught 72 receptions back in 2010. So that's a record that right now they thinking that Mike Harley, because Mike Harley gonna be in the slot, most likely they think he'll be able to, you know, beat that record. That's 72 reception in the season. So you gotta look at Reed Lashley. Reed Lashley had a wide receiver, James Porsche, who caught 111 passes in 2019 and caught 93 passes in 2018. So with Reed Lashley's offense, whoever's in that slot position, they could rack up at least 111 receptions, and you know he's consistent when it comes to that position throwing the ball. So like I said, in 2019, 111 yards. I meant receptions. Well, I keep saying yards. And then in 2018, dude had 93. So both years they already beat the 72 that Leonard Hankerson set back in 2010. So these are records that can be broken with Reed Lashley's offense. Yeah, I think D. Wiggins will have a lot of catches this season too. So, I mean, I think multiple guys could probably, you know, beat these records. All right, let's go to single game record for receptions. Single game. Now this one is a tie. Back in 1984, you had Willie Smith. He caught 12 receptions versus Maryland, and then back in 2012, Philip Dorsett caught 12 receptions against USF. So this record, like I said, with Reed Lashley's offense, we could definitely break these records. I mean, Harley, you can look at Harley, you can look at D. Wiggins. One of those guys will be able to break this record. Yeah, see, they're saying that the SMU, when Reed Lashley was there, that one receiver, Porsche, he had 12 receptions in one game in 2018 and in 2019. So this is something that can happen in the game. This is a fast tempo offense, So they're gonna be getting off like 80 plays a game. Yeah, Knight definitely gonna eat. And I think Knight might make it into the I think right now Knight, if he put in the work, he might be the second string. He might be back up. He might be back up to Cam. Now this one definitely can be broken. This one actually came close last season. Now, single season, individual sack record. This one dates back a long time too. Back in 1987, you got Daniel Stubbs. Yeah, this one's 17 sacks. He had 17 sacks on the season. So, if you know, Russo had last season 15 and a half sacks, and he was number 2 in the country, next to what's his name, Chase Young out of Ohio State. So then you got Quincy Roche. He had 13 sacks at Temple. So these sack records can be broken. They can be broken, especially Russo. If you know how Russo plays, he's a dynamic DN. So it's gonna be a tough record to break, but I think they could do it. All right, let's talk about the next one on the list. We got team sack records in a single season. Team sack records. This one date back a long time too. Back in 1989, the team combined for 52 sacks. So right now we got Quincy Roche, we got Greg Russo, and backing them up we got Jalen Phillips and Jafari Harvey. Those are four defensive ends that are beasts. That's 52 sacks in the season. That record should be beaten this season. I don't see no reason why that record can't be beaten this season. Unless we don't have a season. That's the only way it don't get broken this season. But 2020, that record, that 52 sacks in a single season should be broken. All right, Nick, be easy, man. All right, the next one on the list, we got most plays on offense for a season. Most plays on offense for a season. Back in 2010, Miami ran 936 plays. 936 plays back in 2010. With Reed Lashley's offense, if we average at least say 75 plays per game, we should be able to beat this record with no problem. So that's another one that might go down to 2020. Another one we got here is most first downs by a team. Most first downs. This one dates all the way back to, well, it's actually a tie. Back in 1984 and 2010, Miami had 288 first downs. Now Reed Lashley at SMU last season, he had 322. Keep that in mind. Miami had 288. Now, back in last season, he had 322. So, that's a record that we definitely can beat. And De'Aaron King, back in 2018 when he played at, Houston, he had 334 first down. So Miami's at 288 and he's at 334. So this is definitely a record we could beat. Most first downs in the season. So that's another one that could go down in the books. Now wait. Thank you for that, man. Thank you, Jay Play. King of Battle say interceptions might go down too. I'll have to look up the record on interceptions and see how that's gonna go. I know DJ Ivy should be pretty decent in that one. What else we got on this list? Total team points in the season. Back in 2002, Miami had 527 total points. 527. Now, if Reed Lashley can average 38 points a game, this record will be beaten. Back last season, Reed Lashley averaged 41 points a game. 41.8, call it 42. 42 points a game back in 2019 with SMU. We got way better, faster receivers and everything like that. So I know I know this record is something that we're gonna beat. As long as we play out the season, get to the ACC championship, I think this record is blown out the park. I think this is one of them records that ain't gonna stand in 2020. If we racking up 41, even 38 points a game, we'll knock that out. So let's just see. Let me see what else we got on here. Alright, team. We got team rushing attempt for a season. This running the ball. This one is, a real old record for Miami. It's real old. We talking back all the way back to 1959. 1959. In the season, Miami rushed the ball 567 times. 567 times. Now this record, Reed Lashley beat this record a couple times already in his like 4 or 5 times already. At SMU, last season he didn't run it as much. He was at 534. But when he was at Auburn in 2016, he ran the ball 645 times. In 2015, 587 times. And he also ran it in 2004, 607 times. And then in 2013, he ran it 729 times. So this record, he's beaten it a couple times already throughout his career. So, as you can see, he's not afraid to run the ball. Alright, so we got team rushing touchdowns in the season. Team rushing touchdown. Back in 2002, Miami had 33 rushing touchdowns. That's 33 rushing touchdowns. So, like I said, yeah, with Reed Lashley and De'Aaron King, this can't get done. Back in 2013, Reed Lashley's offense had 48 rushing touchdowns. At Auburn in 2006, he tied that record at 33. And at SMU last season, he ran 35 touchdowns. So this is a record that he can beat at Miami for sure. Especially with a quarterback like D'Eriq King. When it comes down to those, when we get in the red zone, you know, plays he might take off on feet. We might get a couple touchdowns out of him. Plus, you know, we got good running backs, so we definitely will have some rushing touchdowns. I think 33 is beatable. All right, so yeah, that's all 13 of them records that Miami could beat this season. Alright, so right now on the ACC network, they're running all the ACC teams. I'm gonna ask y'all a crazy question. I mean, other than Miami, are you guys gonna watch any other teams' games? Are y'all gonna watch any other ACC day? Because I know most people are only gonna watch the day when Miami highlights and games and everything's gonna be on. Is anybody gonna be watching the other people's stuff? You know, like Florida State and Jay Play said he's gonna watch Florida State. I gotta figure out how to make mods. Cause I'll be hearing that some of my some of the comments that don't be coming through be crazy. I'll definitely. Well, Clemson. I think Clemson Day is right now. Clemson games and highlights and stuff. They should be going on right now. Right now, I don't know how good we match up to Clemson, because right now we didn't get to see no spring. We got 4 practices done out of the 15 practices, so we didn't really get to see much to see where we do stand. And then on top of that, we didn't get to watch none of Clemson or any of the teams in the ACC, you know, their spring games and whatever. So we couldn't even try to basically, compare ourselves to them or whatever. I do know that North Carolina is going to be a huge threat in the future. North Carolina is going to be a huge threat. I think they ranked for 2021 in recruiting. They ranked number 3 in the country, number 3. So North Carolina is going to be getting a big boost. They also Miami so far for 2021 recruiting, they ranked number 6. So that, I think that's like right behind the Gators, but North Carolina, man, they starting to build a little momentum. It's gonna get scary on that coastal side. Yeah, they did finish. I mean, their record don't show, the talent that they do have. I mean, just like our record didn't really show our talent. We just ain't had the right personnel calling plays, and so a lot of things didn't get executed on offense. Plus we got, a lot of inconsistencies, so it is what it is, but hopefully they addressed all that. But North Carolina's starting to look scary, man. They starting to pick up a little momentum. I was thinking about doing a video where like basically narrow the ACC down to just 8 teams, just 8 teams. Like take out all the weaker teams out of the picture. What do you guys think? Who, if you hold on, how many teams in the ACC? Somebody put in the chat how many teams we got in the ACC. So if we're gonna narrow it down to just 8 teams, who would get kicked out? Yeah, I think with the fast-paced offense, what it'll do, it'll keep the defense off the field a little bit longer, so they can rest up a little bit, man. Because last season, 3 and outs, that was it, 3 and outs. We couldn't get a third down conversion for nothing. So with this offense, as long as we keep producing first downs and keeping the offense on the field, I think our defense won't be fatigued. They won't be too tired. And when they go out there, they'll be fresh and ready to dominate each and every play. So this new offense definitely will help out our defense. Because as y'all already know, man, for the past couple seasons, defense ain't been the issue. We good on defense. We solid on defense. Defense, show up. It's our offense that don't convert, because it's a lot of times the defense will get us the ball in great field position, and next thing you know, 3 and outs, or we go down and kick. And not to mention our kickers last season too, we didn't really have a kicker, so that's no points. We're not getting off good turnovers and defense standing up, but offense just ain't producing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking though. I was thinking break down the ACC down to 8 teams, because I was thinking about how this if they do like have the season where you just play the conference games, every year we play 8 conference games. I was thinking about what if it was like that every season, like 4 teams that off the rip that I would have in there is Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and Virginia Tech. Those 4 I'll have in there automatically, and then we'll just have to put the other ones in there. Like Pitt will get a spot in there too. That'll be 5. And if I could, I'd actually bring Notre Dame in there too, because Notre Dame, they'll be able to compete, and then actually will make the ACC a little bit stronger. But that's what I was thinking about doing, breaking down the ACC down to 8 teams. And if these 8 teams had to play each other every season, just imagine, with the impact it would have. Because if you look at teams in the SEC each year, when they start the season, you probably got like 6 or 7 of them in the top 25 ranked already. So once after them 4 cupcake games get played, these teams are ranked so high that if they lose 1 or 2 games, they still in the playoff picture. They still great bowl games at the end of the season, because they so highly ranked, and they who do they play in those first 4 games, and then after that they start matching up against each other, and next thing you know, at the end of the season, the playoffs comes around, and you got like maybe 2 or 3 SEC teams that's pretty much going in there. But if the ACC could be narrowed down to like 8 teams, where it's like a powerhouse conference just like them, then it'll be the same thing for us every single season. We'll have at least 5 or 6 teams in the top ranks. Then on top of that, it'll be way more easier to get schedules that not pretty cupcake-ish. I was thinking too, what they should do is make sure in the beginning of the season in the ACC, every single ACC team play an SEC team. like next season we play Alabama. They should make sure that every team on the ACC list play somebody either in the SEC, you know, basically the top five, the top four, the other four conferences, the other four powerhouses. Yeah, Notre Dame would be a great pickup because Notre Dame is in the ACC, but only basketball. They independent when it comes to football. But Notre Dame would be a great addition to the ACC. It would make, especially if they're on the coastal side, where Miami would play them every single season, then, you know, that would be great. But at the same time, it's kind of controversial because you got Miami who play Florida State every year, and then we play somebody else on the other side. If Notre Dame were to join and be on the side with us, then we'll play them and the other teams, and then we'll only play Florida State. So we'll never get to play Clemson, Boston College, Syracuse, Wake Forest, and North Carolina State. We'll never get to play none of those teams. So it'll be kind of crazy. You know what? I'm gonna look into that. Let me look into that interception record. What's the interception record at Miami? Say EA server down, can't even play online. I'm meaning to get Madden. I really want to get that NCAA 2014 though, but I really don't want to buy a PS3 or an Xbox. But the interception record in the single season interception record for Miami is 10, and that's actually by 2 Miami players. That's by Bernie Blades and Sean Taylor. Bernie Blades back in 1986 had 10 interceptions in the season, and Sean Taylor back in 2003 he had 10 interceptions. Now career interception that goes to Ed Reed with 21. Sean Taylor in his career had 14. I got Call of Duty, but I don't have the full game. I just got like the what's it called, the Battle Royale. I don't have the full version of it. I got the Battle Royale, which was I think that was the free download they gave. So So basically, you just play against, you know, people and teams or whatever, squads. I might have to download Madden, man. I might definitely have to, especially with this quarantine thing going on. Right now, I'm still working and everything, so you know, I'm still out there. I'm still active, but when I was at home for those 2 weeks, I mean, all I did was play Call of Duty and Fortnite. So I might have to download those games. Might have to download Madden and get back into it, because I haven't played Madden in a while. Because normally when I used to play Madden, those was like, you know, maybe a good, I want to say a good 10 years ago. I haven't played Madden in a long time. I think the last time I played Madden was back in 2015. That's the last time I played Madden. Let me see, what else records is on this list? I don't think Miami breaking any of these this season though. Definitely not the interception. They definitely could break the sack record. Right now, Greg Rousseau single season, he's tied for second place. So, I mean, Greg Mark and Danny Stubbs, I'm the only two that's above him. Well, he's tied with Greg Mark, so he definitely could get that done this season. Yeah, you're right, Jay Clay. That's way too long, man. Okay, I figured out how to do it. There it is right there. Yeah, Jay Clay, I just made you a moderator. Yeah, we definitely gonna be putting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, especially Florida State, who I don't really think they even got a quarterback. Cause last season, I know they were juggling between what's his name? What's the team? They were juggling between Blackman and the other kid. I forgot the other kid's name. The one that that Russo tore apart. Russo had that boy number last season. I was actually watching that game. I was watching that game like the day before yesterday. I was watching it again because y'all know on Friday nights at 7 o'clock I'll be doing the show at Turn Tally, and you know all he talk about is this what's the guy named Terry, the wide receiver, the 6'7" receiver, Tamarian Terry. That's all he talk about. But I was watching the game. I was like, man, we shut him down. We shut that boy down. I mean, DJ Ivory had his number the whole game. He was on lockdown the whole game. Yeah, FSU definitely in trouble this season. Like, they didn't even get no time to practice. I keep trying to tell them, man, that the tackling, the problem that they got with tackling is gonna kill them. When you got wide receivers coming across the middle, and they linebackers can't tackle, they gonna get ate alive. And especially with a fast tempo offense, they gonna get ate alive. Secondaries can't tackle. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, Terry is a scary kid, man. But like I said, DJ, if you go back and watch that from last season, DJ Ivy wasn't having it. He was not playing with him. They damn near fought about 3 times. But yeah, what basically Terry think is he was just gonna bully him the game. Nah, not happening. I think he caught 4 passes that game, and none of them went more than 20 yards. So they had DJ Ivy had his number the whole game. hopefully, like I said though, hopefully we live up to the hype. Because right now, if Miami don't get it together this season, the next season, teams like North Carolina is on the rise. Those teams, we don't want to be third in the Coastal. We don't want to be nowhere. We don't want to be in the Coastal where we third or behind, or they talking about, you know, Florida State, Clemson, now North Carolina, and we don't want to be way down there with the other teams. Miami need to be on top of the ACC. We need to compete with the ACC, be in the ACC championship damn near every season, especially on the side of the Coastal. Because right now, like I said, North Carolina is rising. We gotta stop that. We gotta basically do what Florida State didn't do. They watched Clemson rise on their side of the conference and they do nothing about it. Now it's too late. Clemson getting number one in recruiting and everything, so they keep on adding more players to basically run that side of the conference. So probably for the next 4 or 5 seasons, you got to get through Clemson basically. Florida State going. I see Florida State record this season not being too good because with the talent that they have, plus the new coaching and everything, it's gonna be a sad story in Tallahassee. Because I know before they play us, they play Clemson, Wake Forest, which Wake Forest is still looking a little decent from last season. And they got a couple other teams on there. I mean, it's going to be a tough season for them. I've already counted at least 3 or 4 losses for them. This season, Miami should win 10 or more games. Definitely hoping for more because looking at the schedule and everything, it's only 2 teams on there that can challenge us, and that's probably Florida State and North Carolina. Other than that, we should just walk right through our schedule if we have a season. And if it comes down to where we just play the conference games, we should be 8-0. Let me see, what else on records on this list that we probably could try to go for. Man. So we could probably break the total touchdown record too. That was back in 2017 by Malik Rozier. He had 31 touchdowns. So I mean, if King come in and put in work, he could beat 31 touchdowns. Because before Malik Rozier broke that record back in 2017, the record was 30 by Vinny Testaverde, and that was back in '86. So he could definitely break that record. Yeah, but a record that I don't see being touched for a long time is that record set by Ken Dorsey for 88 touchdowns in his career. Because in college football nowadays, you don't see players or quarterbacks starting 4 seasons or playing 4 seasons at all. Normally you get 2 or 3 out of them. Terry for his height and his speed, he's pretty scary. But like you say, he can't really run much when it comes to routes. He really don't. He really ain't got that I don't want to say like ability to make separation. It's like he could catch the ball over you, he could jump over you, but when it comes to making separation, I don't really see him doing much. VT say record for worst beatdown of Florida State this season. I definitely think we could probably beat that 47-0. I think that's probably pushing it, but we might could beat that. We might, especially with their linebackers and secondaries can't tackle. You know what I noticed too about Florida State fans? Florida State fans like to try to rub it in our face. Like, oh, you guys been in the ACC for 15 years and you haven't won. But they quick to say, oh, we got 17 ACC championships. But I did a little research. Miami and Virginia Tech joined the ACC back in 2004. Who was in the ACC before, all these other teams joined? But like Miami joined, Virginia Tech joined, and then recently Pitt and other teams like Notre Dame, which they not really football wise, but who's in the ACC that you could say, you were doing such a great job, you were beating these hard teams? Because I mean, if you look at the ACC before we joined, it's only like teams like Duke, like NC State, North Carolina, those teams. So you weren't really beating nobody. So winning the ACC championship was nothing. It really wasn't. They love to quick to say, oh, Miami was in the Big East, the Big Easy. That's why we got to the national championships, or that's why we were ranked so high, or that's why we'll beat teams the way that we did. But if you look at Florida State was in the ACC when the ACC was nothing. The ACC just starting to get recognized. That's when Miami and Virginia Tech joined. So when it comes to them and they talking about they 17 ACC championship, it really don't mean nothing. You had a cupcake conference where you was the only team in there that was pretty decent. Let's see what else records on this list. Alright, we can look at receiving yards too. Man, a lot of these records go way back to the 80s, man. Way back to the 80s. Single game reception record. That's 220 yards by Eddie Brown, and that was back in 1984 against Boston College. Whew. Let me see if anything came close to that. Philip Dorsett, 201 yards in 2014 against Arkansas State. And then back in Philip Dorsett, 191 in 2012 against North Carolina State. Philip Dorsett again, 184 2012 against Georgia Tech. That's pretty much the recent ones. And then Andre Johnson, 2001 against Nebraska, 199 yards. Man, that's tough. Receiving yards, yeah, definitely will be hard. Did you go over most rushing yards by a quarterback? Let me see. Career yards for a wide receiver was 2,546. That's by Santana Moss. And number 2 on the list is man, all these are great names on this list. You just go down the list real quick from 1 to 10. You got Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Michael Irvin, Lamar Thomas, Stacy Coley, Leonard Hankerson, Travis Benjamin, Philip Dorsett, Alan Hearns, and Andre Johnson. Damn, that's a nice list. Let me see if they have that on that quarterback rushing. Nah, they don't have it for quarterback for rushing. But the running backs, single game rushing yards, 299 for Edgerrin James. 299 in 1999 against UCLA. 299 rushing yards. Man, that's crazy. He also had 271 against Boston College the year before. Duke Johnson had 249 against Virginia Tech in 2014. Mark Walton had 204 in 2017 versus Toledo. Career rushing yards, number one on the list is Duke Johnson for 3,519 in 3 seasons. Number 2 on the list is Otis Anderson. He had 4 seasons for 3,331. So dang, Duke Johnson knocked that out in 3 years. That's crazy, man. That boy was a beast. Single season team rushing yards. Let me see. Let me see. Here. They don't want to show the record. How you doing, Roman? How you doing, boss? Yeah, me and my family doing good, man. I hope yours doing good too, boss. Let me see the record. Alright, so passing yards for a career. Brad Kaaya, in his 3 years at Miami, Brad Kaaya racked up nearly 10,000 yards. He had 9,968. Second to that is Ken Dorsey with 9,565, and that was in 4 years. So Brad Kaaya did what Ken Dorsey did in 3 years instead of 4. Man, that's crazy. Single games. In the single game, Morris threw 566 yards against North Carolina in 2012. He also threw 436 yards in the same year against Georgia Tech. And N'Kosi Perry's on that list also. 422 yards against Virginia Tech this season. So he tied the list for single game yardage.
It's not worse than
I don't care. Go. You glad you're inside me?
Single season completion that goes to what's his name? Ja'Cory Harris. Ja'Cory Harris had 65%. Single season yards for a quarterback. I go to Bernie back in 1984. He had 3,642. Brad Kaya in 2016 had 3,532. So that's the closest they came to breaking that record since '84. So that record still stands since '84. Yo, what up, what up, CJ? How you doing, boss? Hey, whenever y'all get a chance, y'all go check out CJ, man. I be watching CJ videos. CJ be hardcore. CJ give it to you raw. Yeah, King got a chance to beat like 4 or 5 records this season at Miami. So if King come in and play up to his own standards or whatever, play up to what he used to play at Houston. If he even play better than he did at Houston, he gonna leave a mark on Miami. He's gonna leave his name in Miami record book. If he come in, stay healthy, play Miami football. If Reed Lashley offense is very productive for him, then he should be doing pretty good. Mr. I don't even know how to say his name. Y'all watch out for that guy. He a troll. He love to troll Miami, so y'all watch out for him. Yeah, CJ, that cane country behind me it's actually a blanket. I just pinned it up on the wall because I like it too, man. I like the way it looks, so I just pinned it up on the wall. I had bought a banner, but the banner too small, and then when I be looking for like bigger banners, they never get that big. So I saw the blanket and I saw the size of it. It's like to fit a king size bed. So I was like, let me get that, put it on the wall. Yeah, they actually say welcome to Cane Country, but the camera can't capture the whole thing. Yeah, if the camera capture everything, basically you barely see my head. Yeah, what up, Charles Brown? How you doing, man? Yeah, it's pretty tough out here making these videos, man. Especially with no new material and it's pretty hard trying to, you really gotta dig deep to see what you can get. Half the time I just be scheming up stuff like I said, I'm gonna make a video about breaking down the ACC to only 8 teams because a lot of people be saying the ACC is weak. So if we could break it down to 8 teams and these 8 teams have to play each other every season in conference games, then it would be totally different. Like, football wise, Duke would not be in the picture. Teams like Duke would not be in there for sure. Georgia Tech wouldn't be in there. It's certain teams that I would knock off the list to make the 8. I know for sure we would have Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and Virginia Tech. I know we'll have those 4 on the list automatically. But everybody else, it will just have to come down to who's strong and who can keep up with the talent. But like I said, North Carolina looking pretty scary in the next 2 seasons. North Carolina, 2021, their recruiting record, their recruiting rankings is number 3 in the country. We number 6, so they're gonna be tough for the next couple of years. Yeah, thank you, Charles, man. Like I said, I try to do my own thing. I try not to pay too much attention to what everybody else is doing because I want to start like trying to make my content look like theirs and be like them. And next thing you know, I'll start questioning my own self and stop making videos. But I try to do it a little different. I'll continue Vic, Don, I think running game could be. Yeah, you talking about when Michael Vick was playing for Atlanta? Yeah, we definitely could be like that. I mean, De'Aaron King definitely have that Vic where he could take off or whatever. I mean, a lot of our opponents gonna have to really dig deep when it comes to defending us, but they gotta put it into their mind that at any given moment this dude could just take off and run. So they basically gonna have to be watching the quarterback. Not only that, what that's gonna do is passing game gonna open up, especially if we get our run games going each and every game. The passing game is gonna be open wide. If we could get a balance at offense and defense, at passing and rushing, then we definitely could look like Vic Don and TJ.
Okay, who put it on the floor?
Mommy.
So who do it?
But it'll be crazy to see Miami running 80 plays a season, man. 80 plays a game.
How many killed you
I'm
today?
talking about a season. 80 plays a game, that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Y la misma mierda de nuevo.
Some of them games though, I don't think we're gonna get 80 plays off. Cause I see the threats that we do have on offense, they're gonna make some explosive plays, and I do think that teams that we do play, they will try to run the clock a little, cause they see that up tempo offense gonna be pretty much killing their defense.
Empieza a oler lo que está limpio y me recoge.
Yeah, if we definitely could bring back some of them juniors for 2021, you're definitely right. We'll definitely make a push for the playoffs. And you say beat Bama. I'm not sure who's gonna be there, but if we could bring back the talent that we got for 2021, we definitely could make a run for the playoffs. Beat Bama or whoever's in there. We like I said, it's all up to the players, man. Because a lot of players do not nowadays. They do not want to stay that 4th season. They want to just go straight to it. Go get the money. I mean, some of them you can't blame them. But like even looking at this season, like a lot of people, they happy that Jeff Thomas is gone. But like a receiver like Jeff Thomas coming back next season, that'll be good for him, because his NFL Combine performance was to be honest was pretty horrible. Not only that, Buddy skipped the bench press, the competition thing that they have or whatever. That just goes to show you that he weren't all the way prepared. Man, you talking about the playoffs with what offense? With what quarterback? Yo, N'Kosi Perry gonna be a beast next year, bro. Definitely. Not to mention we do got backup quarterbacks that's learning Reed Lashley's system, that's practicing the same thing that King's doing. So we're gonna be straight. We got quarterbacks that's very developable. Yeah, who you got for the ACC? The 8 teams. Who you got for it, CJ? Because I know Clemson, Miami, Florida State, and Virginia Tech. Those are 4 that definitely would be in it for me. And actually 5 would be Pitt. I put Pitt in there. So Pitt play every season. Virginia, they might make a name for themselves too. Yeah, man. I think next season, Perry gonna be a beast. Perry's still competing right now, even though King coming in and they gave him the start. Perry ain't backing down. Perry's still gonna practice. Perry's still gonna compete. So, at any given moment in the season, if stuff going wrong with King, or he go out to an injury, God forbid, then I think Perry will step up. Bro, don't put Perry down, bro. Perry is a fighter. I'm not too CJ. I'm not too sure about Georgia Tech, especially them being like 3. I think they was like 3-9 last season. I mean, they did beat us, which is crazy. Okay, go. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean,
Daddy's coming.
yeah, and Perry is not the only quarterback is not the only quarterback on our roster. I mean, we got guys that are ready to compete, ready to play. So it is what it is. Once King is gone, it's up for grabs, and I think Perry gonna win that job. Charles say Miami, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Clemson, North Carolina, Louisville, North Carolina State. So you'll take North Carolina State over Pitt. I'll definitely take Pitt over North Carolina State. I like that list, but I'll probably replace North Carolina State with Pitt. Because like I said, every year Pitt competes. North Carolina State, they I don't know, they up and down. But that list looks pretty much like what I was thinking, but except for North Carolina State, that would definitely be Pitt for me. So just imagine each season those conference games, those are the 8 conference games you'll play every season. Each of these teams will play against each other. That'll be a tough one. And then for the conference championship, probably have a rematch between one of those games. That'll be a tough. The ACC would be a tough conference. Would have teams in the top 25 on a regular base. Would be competing with the SEC with no problem. But also too, if they would do something like that to cut it down to those 8 teams, I think those teams in the beginning of the season, when they make their schedule, they definitely should include each team should include an SEC team, and maybe like 1 or 2 more teams from the Power 5. Probably have 1 cupcake, and that conference will be tough. Nah, the ACC. He said that's the ACC in the '90s. Who was the ACC in the 90s besides Florida State? Who was the teams in the ACC in the 90s besides Florida State? Because Florida State joined the ACC in 91. Other than Florida State, who was in the ACC? The ACC been cupcake until Miami and Virginia Tech joined. Yeah, North Carolina, Virginia, and Clemson. But other than them, who Florida State had to beat to win an ACC championship? Georgia Tech. Come on, man. Georgia Tech won a natty in 90 because we won in 91. Miami won the championship in 91. So other than that, though, for the ACC, those teams in the ACC, other than Florida State, weren't really challenging. You got teams like Duke and stuff like that. Come on. It'll be easy to get to an ACC championship. All Florida State would have to do was beat these little teams. And back then, Clemson wasn't as dominant as they was now. So them winning 17 ACC championship was nothing. Because you know, a lot of Florida State fans like to say, oh, Miami's in the Big East, the Big Easy. You know, y'all won championship in the Big East. Y'all won those 5 in the Big East. Y'all can't do this in the ACC. Come on. Y'all ain't had nobody to play until Miami and Virginia Tech came in. A lot of these teams, man, they starting to go back to their roots, bro. They starting to go back to the players that's in their states, that's around them, that's diehard fans, grew up wanting to play. You know, that's basically what Miami's doing too. Because, you know, for a couple of years, Miami was staying away from the players in the state and was going after players elsewhere, which that was another thing where we messed up at, because all the talent in our backyards either went to Florida State, or, you know, teams like Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, and teams like that, and then LSU, and go to those teams and made them dominant. When we realized that, you know, all this talent in our backyard, we should have been recruiting them. Miami was trying to stay away from them because, you know, with all the talk about boosters and, you know, corrupting players around the Miami area or whatever, but I'm glad we getting back to where we recruiting right out of our backyard. Yeah, Clemson did start, you know, to show a little talent, to show a little, show that they could play back in the 2000s, but they really didn't pick up. They really didn't pick up much until they until around 2010ish, when they started showing that they you know, they coming. But cause I remember when they had Jacory, what's his name, Ford. They had Ford, and then they had C.J. Spiller. They had those two dominant running backs. And back then, that's when I thought they was gonna make a name for themselves. And then from then, they just kept rising. But the way I see it though, Florida State won the national championship in 2013, and they went back to the ACC championship in 14 and won it by like 2 points. And then after that, they let Clemson basically, you know, walk in their backyard. I mean, you form a national championship, you form a national champs, and you letting the recruits that's supposed to be coming in to your play field in your house, you let them go over to Clemson. Now Clemson flipping all y'all players, and next thing you know, now you can't stop them. Now they just building a dynasty out of your backyard. That's basically what happened. That's basically what happened with Miami when we stopped recruiting in our own state. We kept trying to go out and get these other players and stuff. Like when Miami failed to realize at one point, like, you know, we're not Alabama. We don't run the Alabama offense. Alabama will sit there and run that NFL type offense, that pro style, where they'll just run down, you know, people. They'll just run the ball down people's throat all game and throw deep passes and stuff like that. Miami got to understand we got that speed. We got players that can create plays by themselves. Get the ball to them in the slide or something, and they'll make plays with their feet. Yeah, you're right. Remember Sammy Watkins. CJ Spiller was from Florida too. Yeah, Clemson been sneaking in, taking players out of Florida because it's not that Miami couldn't recruit them. It's a lot of times that Miami was on probation and Miami ain't had the scholarship to give these guys. So then a lot of these guys didn't want to go to Florida State or Florida, so they end up, going out of state somewhere. They go Alabama, they go to Georgia, they go to teams like that, Clemson, South Carolina. Next thing you know, I had a buddy of mine that went to he went to what's his name? He went to Georgia because he couldn't go to Miami. Yeah. Miami, I'm just gonna call you Mr. Jax. Yeah, basically Miami is going to the air raid offense this season, but we wasn't always an air raid team. We was always running a pro style. And see, like you said, with Alabama, their offensive line they always have a top-notch offensive line. So they quarterbacks always had time in the pocket to make good decisions. Yeah, but man, like I was telling y'all though, it's a lot of records. It's a lot of records that if King stay healthy, he could definitely break these records. With Reed Lashley calling them plays, he definitely have a lot of chance of breaking records and making a name for himself at Miami. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. When we was on probation, we lost a lot of scholarships. A lot of players that we could have brought in to back up, the positions that we needed. We didn't have those scholarships to give out. So it comes time when if this player get injured, we might put somebody else in that, that basically in a position where it's similar but it's not quite the same as having 3 or 4 safeties on your chart, where you have now you putting a linebacker at safety. It just don't work out that well. I think Mr. Jackson, ain't you a Clemson fan? Nah, Mr. Jacks, in 2004, Miami went on probation, and in 2011, Miami went on probation. So a lot of these players, we couldn't give scholarships. Yeah. So he a Clemson fan. Right now, he enjoying his team being dominant in the ACC. But it is what it is, buddy. Not for long. Not for long. Miami's on the rise. We in Florida State. Let me see what else records on this list that we probably could break this season too. Let's see, receiving touchdowns. Yeah, we could get a single game is 3 touchdowns by a receiver. So that hasn't been touched since 1998. Last time that happened was Santana Moss. So a receiver could get, 3 touchdowns. They could tie that record, or if they could get 4, they could break it. Single season touchdown by a receiver. That's 13 by Leonard Hankerson back in 2010. So this season coming up, man, if we have a season, then one of these receivers could get 13 touchdowns or more. They'll tie or break the record. The second player on that list was Michael Irvin. He had 11 touchdowns in 1986. Career-wise, though, Michael Irvin got 26 touchdowns in the 3 seasons that he did play at Miami. Lamar Thomas got 23 in the 4 seasons he played, and Leonard got 22 in his 4 seasons. But when it comes to Charles, when it comes to the football wise, Notre Dame is not in the ACC. Football wise, Notre Dame is not an ACC team. Notre Dame is independent when it comes to football. Notre Dame is an ACC team when it comes to other sports like basketball and whatever other sports. But football wise, Notre Dame is not an ACC team. So it's like if we wanted to bring in UCF and USF, we couldn't drop Notre Dame because they're not even in the conference at all. We would have to just bring UCF and USF in. But the thing with that is you'd have to look at the contract that USF and UCF have with their conference. Because I know Miami and all the other teams in the SEC, if they were to decide that they don't want to be in the SEC right now, all our games, television-wise and all that stuff, all the funds and money that makes off those games will still go to the ACC until 2035. So teams jumping out of the ACC right now would not be something that they would want to do. They'll lose way too much money. Yeah, scheduling the game with Notre Dame, it does good. It does good for an ACC team if you beat them, because Notre Dame always come in there, and they always, most of the time they ranked, and most of the time they considered very good for the season. So if you beat a team like a Notre Dame on your schedule, you'll get more recognition from beating Notre Dame than you would from USF, or depending on UCF how they doing. because you know UCF had them 2 seasons where they were looking like pretty decent, and then all of a sudden they start going back down into, you know, just a regular UCF thing. So beating a Notre Dame team looks way better than having like a UCF and a USF win on your schedule. And you got to look at the conference that UCF and USF in is not much in there. Let me see what else is on this list we got here. Man, here's a record that I know we ain't touching for a long time. I know nobody ain't touching this one for a long time. Kicking, field goals made. Field goals made. In one game, 5 by 1. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Pieti. Juan Pieti. That's back in 2003. Then you got it's like three people tied for 5. And then you got number 4, Danny Miller. That was back in 1980. Sheesh. A lot of these kicking records was like way back in the 80s and 90s. In the single season, the record for field goals made, Michael Beasley, Badgley, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Back in 2015, he made 25 field goals. In his career, he made 77 career field goals. So he played back in 2014 to 2017. So that's the career. That's field goals. We could use one of those right now. The field goal kickers has been killing us lately. What else we got on this list? Defense, tackles. Oh man. Single season tackles. Number 1 on the list is Ray Lewis. He had 160 tackles one season. That was back in '95. Then he number 2 on the list at 152. That season back in '94. He got Dan Morgan, 1998 with 150. Nate Webster, 150 in '99. Man. Total career tackles, Dan Morgan, 532 tackles from 97 to 2000. You got George, 490 tackles from 84 to 87. Yeah, these records pretty much set like way back when. We got Quarterman got 356 tackles in his career. And then back in 2011 to 14, you got Denzel Perryman with 351 tackles. Yeah, for some of these records to get broken, they're going to need players to stick around them for years. Who you say play for the Chargers? What else we got on this list? Let's go through passing touchdowns. single game touchdowns. That goes to Jaron Williams. 6 touchdowns against Louisville this season just passed. Before that, it was Bernie, then Steve Wash, Ken Dorsey, Brock Berlin, Kyle Wright, Morris, all on top for 5. The most recent was 2012 against North Carolina State. Morris threw 5 touchdowns. So Jaron Williams has 6 touchdowns against Louisville this season. He probably put his name. Unless we get a quarterback that threw 6 or 7 touchdowns, Jaron Williams' name might be in Miami record books for a while. Now, single season touchdown is 29. That's the season record, 29. So that was set back in 1988. Like I said already in the video before, this one is definitely breakable. I see King breaking this record this season. He already done this at Houston. In 11 games at Houston, he threw 33 touchdowns. So that 29, he could do it. He could definitely do it at Miami. Career-wise, would have to career-wise go to Ken Dorsey with 86 touchdowns. Like I said, for somebody to come in and break these records, they would have to start as a freshman and stay 4 years, which right now in college football is very rare. TJ James, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Okay. Bagley played for Chargers. I didn't even know that. Last 18 years involved in recruiting in South Florida. Tell you a fact, the probation years didn't have much of an effect on my recruiting for Miami. I mean, it had a lot, because I mean, think about it. If you have 30 scholarships to give out, well, let's say you have 20 scholarships to give out, and now they tell you you only got 10 scholarships now. That's half of the players that you could have brought in. They gone already. So if you got to think, who do I make my offers to? Not only that, those players that you offer to, what if they don't come to Miami? Now you got to now you got to offer players that are not what you would really want, but now you don't have no. You have to take those players because the one that you want gone somewhere else. So you got 10 recruits on your 10 scholarships that you gave out to players that you probably wouldn't have, or you probably would have gave those players those scholarships, but you probably would have went after bigger names, but you don't have the amount of scholarships to hand out. So predicaments like that, when 5 stars and 4 stars go, to other places, now you got to recruit 3 and 2 star players, which, I mean, if you look at it though, at half the time, stars really don't matter. Stars really don't matter half the time. You just gotta be able to find those players that, even though they low star, they willing to fight harder than the players on the team that are 5, 4, and 3 stars. Yeah, FSU was stacked though. FSU, during those years that they went on their probation, they were stacked in players. They had depth. And back then too, when they went on probation, most of those players were staying there 4 years. So if you think about it, 2009, they went on probation. So if they brought in players in 2009, that they probably gonna stay till 2013. So you got all seniors in 2013. And that's when they won their national championship. And then you have those players behind them in 2014 where they came close to where they won the ACC championship, and then they lost in the playoffs. They went into the first playoffs and actually lost, so their probation wasn't that bad. Yeah, definitely coaching. Yeah, definitely coaching, man. You're right about that, because Miami has not been consistent when it came to coaching. We've been going through coaches for the past 15 years. We went from what? Larry Coker to Randy Shannon to Al Golden. Then we got Mark Riggs. Now we on Manny Diaz. You know, we haven't stick to one person.
Do you see no one is cleaning? You put your phone here. So what you doing again? Tell me what you doing again.
Yeah, them Florida State team, that Florida State, they recruits were highly ranked. So they seniors and juniors was pretty
I
good
don't
too.
talk to you, Eliani.
Bobby Bowden and what's his name, Jimbo Fisher, they was developing players. I don't know what happened to Fisher though. I think he just fell off the map after he won the national championship. I think that national championship was his goal, and then after that it was like whatever.
Mommy,
What?
I want to eat.
You go your room.
Yeah, I give it to Bobby, man. Bobby was a recruiter. He could have got almost anybody to go to Florida State.
Daddy, can I eat pumpkin?
Yeah, go ahead, your mom.
Mommy, can I eat pumpkin? Daddy, my can go make pumpkin.
Yeah, a lot of, like I said, a lot of players didn't go because of coaching. We didn't have the right personnel coaching the team. As you can see, for the past 15 years in the ACC, we haven't done much because coaching ain't been that great. It's either we have the right defensive coordinator, but not the right offense, or we'll get the right offensive coordinator in there, and then special teams be messed up, or you got coaches that don't coach their position right, so we be lacking on O-line and stuff like that. So coaching definitely was an issue. I know a lot of players like I graduated from Glade Central High School. That's in Belglade. And I know a lot of those players that didn't go to Miami, like Deontay Thompson. He didn't go to Miami because of coaching. Say Jimbo was a great recruiter and did good with what they had. He fell off because he had issues with his wife. Well, for that, didn't happen. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Jimbo went ahead and signed with Texas A&M. I mean, he got a big deal out there. So, I mean, it is what it is. Issues or not, when he left Florida State, they had all this hype behind Willie Taggart, and then when things don't work out with coaching, you see what happened. The whole fan base turned on him. Charles said Golden and Diaz will bring a championship. I mean, as long as I can see that. I can see that because Golden was a good coach, man. Golden got us through some rough times. Golden went through it, man. The whole Shapiro thing, he handled it way better than most people would. Yeah, I'm went to school.
Why you messed up, Tatiana?
Yeah, bro, I'm from Belgrade, man.
Why you messed up?
Milk Bowl every season. Last time Glade Central won state championship, that was my senior year. You know, every season, man, it's Milk Bowl, Pahokee versus Belgrade. You know, Belgrade got a lot of players that actually went into the league also too. Pahokee do too. And I mean, I used to go to Milk Bowl all the time after I left, but since I've been in Palm Beach, because right now I'm in West Palm Beach, so it's not the same. Wait, what? TJ, what year did you graduate? Yeah, in 2006, Glade Central got knocked out the playoffs right before the state championship, man. But then in 2007, we went to the playoffs, and then we went to the state championship, and then we was down, and we actually made a comeback and won that championship. That's the last time they won too. We graduated in '92. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm a young buck then. But like I said though, guys, it's a lot of records that this season, if this offense for Miami is as productive as they wanted to be, or as productive as it was for Reed Lashley at SMU, or for De'Aaron King at Houston, then a lot of these records on this list, they should be broken. Yeah, it's it's 2000. TJ, it's 2006/2007, because we'll start the season out in 2006 and then we'll finish in 2007. But I graduated in 2007, so we just say the last time Glade Central won was in 2007, but it's 2006 season. Just the year was 2007 when we won the championship. Ooh. So Miami, TJ, is Miami your team? Let me see what else on this list we got that Miami could probably try to go after this season, record-wise. Like I said, the field goal ones that I went through, I'm not even gonna look at those no more, because I know none of that ain't happening. Total offensive yards, that record, total offensive yard in a career, that's 9,582 by Brad Kaya. That's in the career. He did that in 3 years. Number 2 on the list is Ken Dorsey, and his was 4 years, 9,486 yards. Single season yard record, that goes to Malik Rozier. Single game record, that goes to Stephen Morris. That's 568 yards against North Carolina State in 2012. Okay, so you're an FSU fan. Oh man, yeah. On Friday, me and Turn Tally, I don't know if you heard of Turn Tally, but me and Turn Tally, we do a Miami versus Florida State show. So this Friday at 7 p.m. it'll be Florida State versus Miami. We always do a show on Friday. This Friday is gonna be over right here on my channel, and then on the next Friday after that it'll be on his channel. So we met Bobby Bowden. Yeah, man. I met Bobby Bowden, but I didn't like meet him. You know, I actually saw him, but I didn't know who he was at the time until then when I saw him on TV. And then I was like, oh, that's Bobby Bowden. That's who he is. But I didn't even know who he was when I met him. Yeah, man. Like I said, every Friday we put on a show, man. Most of the time it'd be about 3 hours long. It'd be Miami versus Florida State. It get crazy, man. Not nothing crazy like no personal or nothing like that, but you know, it'd be a good show. You know, he got his points about Florida State and got my points about Miami. We just go back and forth with it. But it's a good show. We've been doing it for about a good, I want to say a month and a half now. I think we did like maybe 4 or 5 shows already. Let's see, what else record we could touch? We could probably touch. Rushing touchdowns. Stephen McGee. Single season rushing touchdown. 28 for Willis McGahee. Single game touchdown. 6 for Willis McGahee against Virginia Tech in 2002. I'm not sure nobody's going to touch that. 28 rushing touchdowns in the season. The second place is 17. That was back in 98 by Edgerrin James. Nobody even came close since. I mean, Mark Walton had 14 in 2016. But yeah, that record of 28 touchdowns in a single season for Willis McGahee might never get touched. Which is crazy because Willis McGahee only played 2 seasons at Miami, and one season he had 28 touchdowns, the other season he had 3. It's crazy. You got Alonzo Highsmith on that list for single game rushing touchdowns. He had 4 in 84 versus Notre Dame. Punt return yards. I'd have to look that up. They don't have that one on the list. this list here is more in depth. They definitely need to update this stuff. Pass interceptions. Man, there's been a lot of time for pass interceptions. Longest pass play, Geno threw for 99 yards against Arkansas in 91. Then Kyle Wright threw to Sonoris Moss 92 yards in 05. Then Testaverde to Alonzo Highsmith for 88 yards. Longest rush from scrimmage at 90 yards by Jack. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Longest field goal, Danny Miller versus Florida State in 1981 for 57 yards. Then Danny Miller versus Florida in 1981 for 55 yards. Dang, so Danny Miller was a Florida and Florida State killer. Okay, here we go. Longest punt return. I go to Roscoe Parrish. That was for 92 yards in 2003 against Boston College. Devin Hester versus LA Tech for 92 yards. Then Kevin Williams, 91 yards against Penn State for 91. Most punt return yardage, 152 by Kevin Williams. Alright, so longest kickoff return, 100 yards. Tim Morgan, that was back in 1975 versus Houston. We got Otis Anderson for another 100 yards in 1978. 1978. And in that same year, he ran another 100 yards against Tulane. Devin Hester at North Carolina State for 100 yards. Devin Hester versus Florida for 97 yards. Tom Sullivan versus Army for 99 yards in 1971. Most kickoff return yardage, 208. Jay Davenport, 1998. Yeah, seven kickoff returns for 208 yards. Devin Hester at North Carolina State. He had two returns for 129 yards. Devin Hester versus Florida, 2 returns for 125. Longest interception returns, you got, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Celian Brown, back in 85 for 100 yards versus Boston College. Let me see if anything recent. Willie Copper at Duke, 2006, for 85-yard return. Back in 2002, against Florida. It's 97 yards. Punt return yard. Oh, my bad. Sorry, slow down. Oh no, you good. You good. You good, Charles. Junior said, I feel Perry will beat our King in the spread. Well, at this moment, I don't think that's going to happen. Because right now, that spread offense, King got an experience in it. But even if Perry wanted to beat him out, at this point, he really can't. Because ain't no practice, ain't no spring game, ain't no way to pretty much really evaluate, Perry being better than King in the spread right now. So Perry just gonna be back up to King. It is what it is. I mean, I don't doubt that Perry would compete though. I think he would compete. Let me see what else we got on this list. Consecutive pass completions, 14 by Testaverde versus Oklahoma. So he threw 14 straight passes without any being dropped in 86. Consecutive field goals, 13 by Dan Perwick, that's in 94. Best field goal percentage for a season, Dan Perwick, 92.9%. He made 13 out of 14 picks. Man, just imagine if we had him this season. I think we definitely probably would have maybe a good nine wins. I say maybe 9 wins. Touchdown reception 3 by Santana Moss at Rutgers. And in 1998, consecutive game rushing for 100 yards, 7 by Edwin James in 1998. Consecutive game passing for 200 yards, 12 games by Steve Welsh. Testaverde also did that. 2 games passing 200 career-wise. Ken Dorsey did that 28 times in 1999 to 2002. Consecutive passes without an interception. 193 by Ken Dorsey, 99 to 2000. So he threw 193 passing with no interception. That's what we need right now. Miami, minus the interceptions this season. Especially Jaron Williams started out the season pretty decent when it came to interceptions. But down the line he started throwing them, and then after that he couldn't stop himself. Consecutive games with a touchdown caught. 8 by Michael Irvin in 88. Consecutive games with a touchdown. 10 by Willis McGahee in 2002. I think that's about it for the records, man. But like I said, it's about 13 records that could be broken by the team and individual wise. Those records, I think, as long as we play a full season, those records should be broken. Now, I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. You know, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for coming. Hit that like button. Thank y'all for doing that. You know, have a good day. Have a good night. You know, it's always about that youth. It's all about the youth, baby. I'm out.
Yeah.